right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Sunday Speedrunner Spotlight. I think we're on episode 105, something like that. Doing this a while. I think this is technically the start of year 3. Baller.
Wow, nice.
It's been a while, for sure. So let's kick things off with TGH as our guest. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me again.
Oh, no problem. Excited to talk some speedrunning as we tend to do every Sunday. So I guess let's dive right in. So what do you do in the scene?
Um, I consider myself these days like mainly a Zelda speedrunner or 2D Zelda speedrunner to be specific. Like right now I'm speedrunning Minish Cap. I'm just relearning Minish Cap after 3 years of not running it, which has been an experience and also very fun, of course. Um, I kind of had like a pretty large hiatus in speedrunning from I think like early 2020 or 2022 to like very late 2024. Um, the release of Echoes of Wisdom was what brought me back.
Hmm.
Echoes of Wisdom was one of two games rather. They're both Zelda games. Go figure. That I knew I was going to speedrun before they even released. The other one being Link's Awakening, the remake for the Switch. But uh, me and my friend Ice Blue, we were just like, yeah, we're gonna speedrun this right away, right? We were just like, yeah. So yeah, that got me back into it, and I'm kind of just back on that horse basically. But yeah,
Well,
that's what I've been
welcome
doing
back.
recently. Yeah, absolutely. It's been good to be back.
Yeah, they've been putting out some bangers for 2D-ish Zelda, I guess.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
don't know what
Echoes
you'd
is
really
really good.
consider that, but
It's Echoes is like it plays like 2D. It plays like 2D casually. It is it's basically a 3D Zelda in the speedrun. Like a lot of
okay.
stuff like with some of the more creative ways you can move around in that game, it behaves more like a 3D speedrun. It's a lot of people that I've seen who speedrun it refer to it as like sort of like a top down. It feels a lot like Breath of the Wild but top down. It's that kind of like movement freedom that you have with the resources that you have essentially in that game.
Hmm. Yeah, I played a bit of it at a PAX, so right before it came out.
Hmm.
Um, so that's like what I have to judge. I don't play Zelda. I should change that, but the backlog is massive, and we all know how that goes usually.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing for me. So
hmm, I think we all can relate in some aspect, but Zelda's just such a massive franchise, and obviously it's good, so you want to tackle it, gotta start to finish, maybe, or at least get the highlights. But there's a lot of highlights,
yeah,
and it's a big task, and then you just put it off indefinitely, as we all do. So, but we'll get there. But it was very unique with the whole obviously echoes mechanic, and there's a lot of verticality in a 2D esque kind of game, so it's just interesting.
not to mention you're playing as Zelda and not as Link,
Hmm.
which is phenomenal. I love that. I hope they do more of that. I hope they let us play as Zelda again in another game.
And now all the Legend of Zelda name confusers, they're right now. They got it.
Yeah,
That's
they got
Zelda.
what they were
You finally play as Zelda.
something like that. Yep,
They're finally right after all these years.
it's her legend. I mean, it's about time, right?
Hmm. All right, so that's kind of the current stuff, but uh, obviously we like to start from the beginning. So let's go back to where it all started for you.
Long time ago.
For a
Um,
lot of us,
okay.
it's been a while. So.
So the first speed run I ever did was I still remember Pokemon Blue, 90% no save corruption. Um, that run is just super glitchy. It's pretty short. The route that I did was like 20 minutes. Um, but yeah, that's kind of what got me into it. And back then I remember it being like hard to move around in that game. Like it's like I guess my motor skills weren't as good then as they are now, but because I hadn't speedrun really. I remember the movement being difficult in that game. Like it's a Pokemon game, and movement is it's it's just a testament to like how far I've come. But anyway, that's a different subject. But uh, that was the first speedrun I ever did. I think the first one I ever took seriously was Undertale. Ended up running Undertale at AGDQ 2017 as the finale. Um, and right after that, I just kind of like stopped speedrunning Undertale, and started Zelda. Started off with Link's Awakening DX. I actually learned that as a 12-hour challenge. If y'all know what
Oh
12-hour
yeah,
challenge is, yeah. So I
good
learned
times.
LADX. Yeah, yeah. I learned LADX as a 12-hour challenge, and stuck with it for years. And it kind of just became like I don't know. I feel like LADX, like the run that I've done for the main category of that game, I honestly still kind of consider like my magnum opus as a speedrunner. Um, and yeah, it's just like I put a lot of time and effort into that game, and yeah, that's what I consider like my magnum opus is LADX. And then God from there, I think I moved into Link to the Past running. Like I basically just went up and down the boards for 2D Zeldas, Link to the Past, the Oracle games, Zelda 1, Zelda 2, and Link to the Past all together. I ran the classic trilogy. Just did a bunch of stuff with 2D Zelda. I ran the Minish Cap eventually, and now I'm back to running the Minish Cap. Um, God, I'm sure there's more in between there, but like it's hard to recall everything exactly that I've done. Uh, Celeste, how could I forget Celeste? Um, ran Celeste from like 2018, like basically when the game came out in 2018 to like early-ish 2020. Ran a lot of different indie platformers. I ran Fez. I ran a game called Die. Um, boy, I need to like take a look through my SRC page to like remember what I've ran.
You wouldn't be the
But yeah,
first, don't worry.
it's a lot. It's a lot. And then I basically went on a pretty long hiatus because I got a little bit burnt out on speedrunning. But came back like 2 years later or a few months ago with Echoes of Wisdom, and Echoes of Wisdom was really fun. It got me back into like the swing of speedrunning, reminded me how fun it can be. And now I'm back with Minish Cap, and we're trying to tear it up there too. So with new tech and a new skip, and like basically the game feels a lot different now to run than it did back then. So um, that's a very condensed history of of what I've done as a speedrunner.
Yeah,
I'm almost positive that I'm forgetting several things, but
I mean, that's how it goes. When you've been doing it for so long, there's just so much there. But
there's a lot there. Yeah. Tunic is a game I've also run. Another indie game, fantastic game. Afterthought. I ran Super Mario 2,
mm,
um, Super Mario Bros. 2, all levels and any percent for a time. Uh, Sonic 3D Blast, Celeste. I ran The Messenger for a little bit. I
ooh,
ran Pokemon Red and Blue. Yep. Oh, V6, VVVVVV.
beautiful.
Piano Tiles, my
Okay.
real magnum opus.
mm,
But yeah, I played Piano Tiles when I was bored at work one day, and I submitted. That
fair
was
enough.
basically it. But yeah, oh, Super Mario 1 was one that I did nine years
Finally,
ago.
finally something I can talk about. All right, so
I have a 520 in any percent. Um,
not bad. We take those.
Top 1,000. Yeah, we take those.
And when you got it, it probably was much better placement.
Um, Probably, yeah. Definitely nothing like, I mean, it's nothing like what you can do, obviously, but
Well,
um yeah, I was happy with it at the time. I popped off,
Yeah,
but
it's good, especially back then. I mean, what year was that set in?
9. What was the date on this? It was It just says 9. Oh, December 17th, 2015.
Wow, that predates my start by almost 2 years. All right,
So yeah,
back then
SMB
that might
one
have been like top 100, honestly, which is
possibly
crazy to think about.
yeah, SMB one was a game that I did run as like a super beginner speedrunner, like way back. I remember running that on a laptop keyboard. Um,
That's how I started.
that was like
That's the way. It's a good beginner run.
it is. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, very easy to PB. Uh, until a certain point at least.
Hmm.
But yeah, perfect to start your journey a little bit. Dip your
Yeah, that
toes into
about
speedrunning.
covers it.
Yeah.
That about covers like I mean, that's every game that's listed for me on SRC. So like that is my history basically.
So there's
And here
the
we are now.
summary. Yes.
Yep.
Well, we can certainly dive in for some more details. So, when you said you started with Pokemon, when was that?
um Around this time, honestly, like around like 2015
Oh,
ish.
okay.
Yeah. So like again, laptop keyboard, Pokemon Blue, emulator, of course. And just like I still remember how satisfying it felt because that game requires arbitrary code execution, or that category rather is arbitrary code execution to the credits
Mm.
after about 20 minutes of uh not so intended gameplay. So I just remember how satisfying it was to do that, and that just kind of got me jump started into running more serious, like running more seriously, like running Undertale. Even though Undertale at the time was mostly a glitchless run until punch card tech got found, which allows you to do stuff like wrong warping and skipping cutscenes and stuff like that. And then it got really interesting. But that was the springboard basically. That was like when was my NSC run? Hang on. My no save corruption run for blue. I'm sorry. I'm just like at this point. I'm just like browsing my SRC
That
page, just trying to remember.
plenty fine.
Uh, Pokemon Red, Blue. Any percent no save corruption was also 9 years ago. This run was October 13th of 2015, so 2 months before the SMB one run.
All right, so this coming up will be the 10-year anniversary of you speedrunning. Sounds like.
Uh, yeah, actually, yeah. God, yeah, that's right. October, because I think this was my first submitted category to a leaderboard. Was yes, yeah, Pokemon Blue any percent no save corruption. I think was my first submitted run.
Well, there we go. And so how did you like find out about speedrunning, or what got you to do it?
Past GDQ runs. Um, like mostly Zelda, like Narcissa Wright actually, is probably one of the names that I can remember the most from like when I started. Um, like yeah, her runs like got me just basically springboarded on the idea of speedrunning. I was like, this is so freaking cool, and it got me into speedrunning. Like I don't know, I kind of took baby steps at first. Like I didn't go right into Zelda right away, because I had heard that Zelda runs were hard, and I wanted to pace myself a little bit. So, um, so Pokemon it was back then, basically. But yeah, like basically old GDQ runs were what inspired me to start.
So you were an early watcher then.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it was very it was very early.
See, I wasn't, and I just missed out so much. No, well, I didn't. watch until like 2018 or something. So
it was definitely a magical time
yeah.
back
So
then.
I've heard.
Everything still felt really new, and like, that's kind of like been strained a little bit, but the love is still there for it, definitely.
Mhm.
Um, of just like the process of improvement, basically, is like why I still speedrun,
Yeah,
and yeah, plus playing old games that you remember, like
the nostalgia factor, very
yes,
important.
yep,
All right. So after like dipping the toes in, I guess the big one was Undertale then.
yeah, so to speak, definitely.
Mhm.
And I still remember what it was like the first time I found out that I had gotten accepted to GDQ. Because I thought that at the time, like before I played Undertale, before I submitted, I thought that that kind of thing was untouchable. Like I really thought that there was no way I would ever be good enough or relevant enough in this hobby to be even considered for GDQ. Uh, Surprise, Jay, you're the finale of AGDQ 2017 with Undertale, which back then was like, as a speed game, it was a little bit controversial
Oh, was it?
because of a couple of things. Uh, like, the memes were basically like, "Oh, you're speedrunning a visual novel. Oh, that's cool."
Oh, okay.
And
Well, whatever.
yeah, it is that kind of thing. Like it was, and I considered it my duty at that time to like show people like, "Hey, this is a legitimate speedrun." And it was, and it still is, and it's been carried even further, and like it's still a popular run.
Hmm.
It's still a popular game, of course, like, massively popular game. It's still a popular run too. Um, but yeah, that was the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life was
Okay.
that run. Um, and I am a former professional golfer trying to
Really?
make short putts. Yeah, trying to make like short putts for thousands of dollars. And
Wow.
that was the most nervous I'd ever been in my entire life.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, it was nerve-wracking. It was an experience. It was very surreal, but extremely rewarding. Um and I would do it all over again if I could.
So was that the first event you went to?
Yep.
And
Yep, first event I had ever witnessed in person, first event I ran at. Um
pretty good first event then.
a little, yeah, I would say um not like following events felt like letdowns or anything, but that was definitely a way to start for sure.
Eh, pretty good. Can't argue that. So I wasn't around yet, so winter 2017. How you remember like around how much they had already donated?
That was the first GDQ that reached 2 million, I think.
The first reached two.
I
Oh,
th- or was it hold on. Sorry, I'm about to do more looking up here.
nothing wrong with
Uh
being
yeah,
historically accurate.
yeah, I want to make sure that's correct. Games done quick donation totals. So the first thing that came up was Wikipedia. Um
I think its
Games
data
on
is accurate.
Yeah, that was the first GDQ to reach 2 million. Yep,
Wow.
first GDQ event to raise over $2 million, as well as the first GDQ event to raise over $1 million in a single day,
Holy shit.
which I would imagine was the last day.
So did it hit 2 million
Uh,
during your run or was it already
yeah,
solidified? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it hit $2 million during the finale. Yeah,
So, yeah, quite the event to
that
start.
was that was the I think that was the first time that Mike Oyama got on stage and yelled like "Yo!" I think that was the first time, and he's done it since. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think yes.
So the first time GDQ ever saw a 2 in the seventh digit, like was you were on stage running.
Yes.
Well, there's a fun fact of the day.
That's something that I didn't even realize, honestly.
Well, now you can tell that to everyone, I guess.
I probably won't, but
Yeah.
it's
Nah, I'm messing, but I
maybe
mean,
not everyone, but you know.
it's still a little fun fact you can
Yeah, yeah.
hold on to.
Yeah, exactly.
Quite literally, no one else can say that. So yeah, good first event. So, how long were you running that game when you did that showcase?
I had been running since I believe so God, Undertale came out in August of 2015, I think. And I began running Undertale, I think, at the very end of 2015. I think.
So
I
just
have my
like a
dates right.
year.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'd been running for a little over a year at that point.
And that was a serious grind, like the first serious
Yeah,
one. Okay.
that was definitely the first serious grind I'd done.
And what category did you do on stage?
True pacifist.
Okay.
Yep, which is just basically you don't kill anything, you spare everything, you mercy, you choose mercy on everything. Um, and yeah, you just don't kill anything.
So you have
I
to
think.
dodge more attacks, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I remember I did True Pacifist, and then as a donation incentive after the run, I did the Sands fight.
Ah, okay.
And
Very important.
if there's one regret I have about the run, it's that I took damage for the first time on the very last attack of Sands. I almost know his Sands on stage.
Wow. I mean, that's still pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was still happy with it. It's kind of an exaggeration to call it a regret as well as if only, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure the crowd loved it either way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the crowd was so into it. Oh god, I still remember how hyped the crowd was. I still remember the hug the goat chant, um and like them chanting my name on stage. Like that was one of the most, if not the most surreal thing I've ever experienced in my life. Um like yeah, the memories are let's just say extremely positive about that run.
That's good. Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of I don't know memes, but like it was a memorable run in GDQ
I mean, it was
history.
it was
So
Undertale, of course there were memes.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm just
Yeah,
saying that
but
that wasn't all. Like, I
yeah,
feel
true.
like that. Well, most finales have like some sort of historical relevancy to GDQ's history, but again, first 2 million, it was a big deal. So, and yeah, like I wasn't around back then, and even I kind of know about the run,
That's
bits and
really cool.
pieces, without having seen the whole thing.
That's
But yeah,
super cool.
yeah. So people know about it, that's for sure. Um, so True Pacifist Sans fight. What other categories were you running leading up to it?
I ran a little bit of everything. I ran like the No Mercy route. I ran neutral, which is basically just finish the game as fast. It's
Any
basically any
percent,
percent.
yeah.
Yeah. There was like neutral at the time. I don't remember. Was there neutral glitchless, which was neutral, and then punch card glitch was found, and then neutral became its own thing, and neutral glitchless was basically a non-existent category at that point. Um, there was glitchless itself, which I didn't really enjoy too much, because it was just almost 100% mashing and like nothing
Hmm.
nothing else like that. Yeah, like that was
Oh
what
yeah, that game's
I
a heavy mash game.
yeah, it really
I
is.
know top runners like have a mash like inputs per second counter on the stream or
Yep,
something.
yep.
Yeah.
KPS. I still
Hmm.
remember keys per second or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's it.
Yeah, they called it something different, um, but yeah, I ran basically all the main categories, and I think of maybe a couple of extensions that I don't even remember what they were. Um, but yeah, fun times.
Hmm.
Lots of different categories for the game.
And did you hold the record in any of them?
Uh, Pretty much all of them, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, at the
okay.
time.
Well, there you
Yeah.
go. So at one point you were the Undertale goat. We can say
Um.
that.
Yes. No pun intended. No pun intended.
Ah, yeah. I didn't. I wasn't
But
even thinking that. I mean,
I was
the
just
memes
assuming.
always
No
come
pun
back.
intended, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all Undertale. That's the Undertale history. It sounds like, in a nutshell, at least. So right after that was the start of like the Zelda era.
I think so. If I have like the timeline straight in my head, I think right after Undertale, I went to, or I learned LADX as a 12-hour challenge, sort of like before I was it. Yeah, it was before I stopped playing Undertale, and then I stopped Undertale altogether and just continued on with LADX. And then LADX was a really fun grind. Actually, back then, the main category that's on the board right now, any percent uh people call it no scoob. It's
Oh.
no save and quit, wrong warp out of bounds.
Oh, okay.
That really, really like interesting. It really interesting rule set that kind of needs to exist for the game to be, or for the category to be like workable. Um, but yeah, so uh, no SQWWOOB scoob. Um,
Great
that
name.
category is actually no longer the main category. Now it's just no woob.
Oh, okay.
Um, no, yeah, no, no wrong warp out of bounds, but you can save and quit. And I remember the grind for no save and quit, the no save and quit category, uh, was incredibly long to get world record back from Hanky Panky. I still remember like I still remember that particular that grind was absurd. And then I came back to LADX, sort of like I came back to Minish Cap. Now, back then I came back to LADX and grinded the main category that was that is now the main category, no woob, and ended up getting a 48, which I still have the only 48. It's a 48.59, and I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm done. I'm done with the grind, and I started running other categories. But
You mean that's still the record?
that is still the record. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I think God, when was that run done? Because like it's been record for several years at this point.
That's crazy. I
Speedrun.
mean, I guess I don't know just how popular the game is, but usually Zelda games tend to have at least quite a few people.
Yeah, the 2D Zeldas are obviously not as they're not as what's the word, uh glamorous as 3D Zeldas. But yeah, that run was 3 years ago. It was
Wow.
oh wow, February 27th. So we're coming up on 3 years of that, actually no, 4 years since that, 2021.
Wow.
So yeah, in like 2 weeks, a week and a half, it'll be 4 years.
Hmm. Wow. And this is the Game Boy Color game,
Yes.
which is a
Yeah,
remake of the Game Boy game.
yeah, LADX and LA, or the original Link's Awakening, are two completely different leaderboards, two completely different runs, really. Because of some things that you can do, or it patched a lot of glitches from LA, but in the meantime, it made a lot of other things possible too. So
Interesting.
like the tech is completely different between the both runs, which is it's interesting to go back and forth between them, or to switch from one to the other, because you think it's the same exact thing. It's not. It is not at all. Like the
Hmm.
menu's different. The like little minutia, like the lag, the game's lag is different. Movement feels slightly different for some reason. And I think that might have something to do with the lag, but uh, the most jarring difference is the menuing. Because in LA the menu appears instantaneously, and you or almost instantaneously. You can menu right away, but in LADX the menu is like a fade to white and then fade back.
Hmm.
And that particular style of menu allows for some things that you can do in LADX that you can't do in LA. Like frame advance. Basically, you can just frame advance with that menu because if you hold start, it buffers for you,
Oh, really?
which is
That's
extremely handy.
that's
Yeah.
very convenient.
Yes. It's slow, but it's dependable.
Hmm.
Like it's
Consistency
slow in the sense.
usually is better
Yeah.
overall. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's good for the run because like there are some frame perfect tricks in the run that you can choose to buffer, but it is also the type of run where at a high level 1 or 2 seconds matters. Like
Hmm.
1 or 2 seconds really matters in a particular split. So yeah, it's a good run. I think it's a really solid run. There's a reason I stuck with it for so long.
Hmm. Yeah, the only difference I knew between the two games is they have a dungeon in DX that's like color themed because why
Yeah,
color
yeah, the color
now?
dungeon. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Literally called the color dungeon.
Oh,
It's where
perfect.
you get the red or blue tunic.
Hmm.
You
So
can
that was the only difference
choose.
I was aware of. So it's interesting that there's actually quite a bit. Like in Mario 1 terms, we have like the NES and the All Stars version, which you think are the same,
Yeah.
but they're like completely different.
Yeah,
So,
I remember um watching a GDQ run of was it I think was it Darbian who ran All Stars, or it might have been a I think it was a relay or a
oh, was it
race,
the
or
SGDQ 2017 Warpless Relay?
I believe it was,
Because
yes.
that was like 3 teams of 5 people, 5 different Mario games.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I also remember watching Darbian in the practice room at SGDQ 2017 being like this. And at that point, I had run SMB1. I was like, this just looks so much different.
Yes.
And like it's not just the graphics, it looks like it behaves differently. Um
Hmm.
and
Now, if it was Darby, and I believe he did 2J, the Lost Levels, for that relay, which is an entirely different game, other than looking the exact same, sounding the exact
may,
same, and but the physics are slightly altered for like enemy collisions. But then there's,
yeah,
but then he also would have been playing the All Stars version, which is itself different.
yeah.
It's a mess.
I think you're right. I think it was the All-Stars version
Hmm.
of SMB2J,
And if you saw the
I
race,
believe.
Supersonic did 2J, but he played on the FDS version. So there was a
Hmm.
literal side by side difference, although they didn't start at the same time because the relay, and it was like game 4. So, but
Did
yeah,
I know Supersonic back then in 2017? I'm not sure I did because like Supersonic and I are good friends. And I don't remember if back then we knew each other.
yeah, this is
Um,
all before my
we
time.
might have, but yeah, it's God. That's way too long ago. I
Yeah,
don't want to like God. That the fact that that happened like 8 years ago, it makes me feel old. I don't want
yeah. I
to.
say that was before my time, but I showed up in August of that year, so really, I'm not that much younger. But yeah, I do have a
I
lot
mean,
of history in my brain, so I do remember
mm,
things even if they came before me.
yeah, that's fair. That's
So
completely fair.
I think I'm getting all this info right. But yeah, what there hasn't been like a huge relay like that for Mario again. I really want to see that again because I believe that was like very highly well received.
Mm,
Like that had 15 different runners in it, which is
God, yeah.
crazy. And I know obviously we'll get into this eventually, but obviously, Zelda has had some relays at GDQ as well, but
Hmm.
usually not to that scale of people at least. Like that was wild.
Yeah, I think I was part of the last one. I did Link to the Past for the trilogy relay.
That was
I think that
2020, right?
yeah, the trilogy relay race. Um, I did Link to the Past for that.
Yeah.
Um, and my team won. So
Let's go. Huge.
yep, I was with Green Mario and Pro JN.
I know Green Mario has the Zelda 1 record, so
Yep.
that helps.
Yes, that does help. It definitely did help.
But did he have it back then too, or did Lax still?
I think Lex still had it back then.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then after after 2020, that's when Green Mario took it.
Mhm. Yeah, my Zelda knowledge is very limited, but there's
That's
a few
also fair.
things I got. Yeah, I'll get better as time goes on, surely. But yeah, I need to get into Zelda a little bit. I can do the screen warp in Zelda 1. That's about the extent of my knowledge,
Mhm.
or whatever
I mean,
challenges were in the.
that's the hardest. That's one of the hardest things to do in Zelda 1.
Well, it takes me like a minute
Like,
to do it once, but I can do it.
you'd get faster if you like kept at it.
Yeah.
It's yeah,
It is
it's
not
one of
it
those
is not
things
on
that
my speedrun project list, so it was
that's
just
also
for
totally
fun.
fair.
Although
And
it wasn't.
between you and me, Zelda 1, uh, you can maybe keep that one off the project
All
list.
right. Well,
It's
it's
that
fun to
one's.
watch. I love
It
watching
is.
it.
It is. It's fun. It's fun to get into, but it's a huge like uh it's hard. It's so hard and it's so unforgiving and it's just like I don't know. All I'm saying is that there are other fun Zelda speedruns
Mhm.
out there.
Well, the thing I wouldn't be able to do is memorize like bomb drops, enemy pit data, whatever.
That
I'll
was
leave.
also one of my least favorite
I'll leave that to the
parts of
smart
the run.
people.
It's
But
like Zelda 1 taught me that I can't count to 10.
uh,
Um, well, at
yeah,
least when I'm playing the game, I can't count to 10. Um,
too much
the
to think about. Yeah,
yeah.
but what was it? It was featured in the Nintendo World Championships that came out last year, so
Hmm.
I have
Yep.
dabbled a little bit. I have the task tie and getting the sword, which is super free. So I'm somewhat of a connoisseur.
That's really funny that's a timed thing that people can race for because
Hmm. Easiest
yeah,
task tie in the world. Yeah.
that's essentially just one input or one change in inputs that's like a 5 or 6 frame window and you have it. You have like the task
Yeah,
time.
because you can buffer the entire last section, the cave
Yep.
entry.
Yep.
That's crazy. Yeah. I'm trying to think what other challenges. One of them, which is really nice, is the doing the whole whole first dungeon, start to
Hmm.
finish. Although I don't know if there's like glitches in the run. You can't do any in this game, so
Yeah,
it's just.
doesn't it punish you for glitching? Like it
It will say strategy unavailable and rewind you back to before you did the glitch. Yeah. Although not every glitch. In Mario 1, I can still wall jump, and it's fine. You just can't wrong
okay.
warp, or and you can flagpole glitch and all that. You just can't
There's
wrong
got
warp.
there's got to be some like value in the code that it looks for
I do not know how
that
they do
change.
it. I just know
Yeah.
obviously it's emulation, so they have something reading something.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's
Just
very
imagine it's
fascinating
like
how that. I would be very interested to know how that game like truly works under the hood because like all the timing's accurate to the frame. They have
mm,
their own like makeshift live split and everything. Like it works very well as a speedrun game.
yeah,
It's
that is
just
pretty cool.
so I'll give them that. But
I just think it's really funny that it's like, no, it can't do that, and then just rewind.
and yeah, rewinds
It
you.
just rewinds
If
it.
it
Yeah.
gets too pissed off though, it'll say like you can't do this and then make you start over from the beginning. It won't even rewind you. It's
Don't
just like,
piss
no,
off the
do it
game.
again. And it won't even start the timer over. Like it'll just say do it again, but not have reset the timer, which at that point you just reset anyway. Because you're back at the start. You at least reset the timer. I don't know. Fascinating video game. But
That is amazing.
so yeah. There's the lore of that game. But yeah, there's quite a few Zelda 1 challenges, and then they have Zelda 2 as well,
Hmm.
which, is entirely different.
Yeah,
But
Zelda 2. So I ran the whole trilogy. Like I even ran like Zelda 1, 2, and 3 like all back to back as one run as well. Um, Zelda 2, in my opinion, is the most fun run of the trilogy.
I
Um,
hear that a lot,
yeah,
but which is
it's a
interesting
really good
because
speed run.
now I say this at like top level, like any percent. That thing is ridiculously hard.
Yeah, the game itself, I'll say the speed run makes the game so much easier. Um, like the strats that you do and like the way you like approach the game and route yourself through the game just makes the game like so much easier. Like the hardest part of the game is still Death Mountain.
Mhm.
Like in casual, it is probably still also Death Mountain. It's just the hardest part of the
Yes.
game. Uh, the ending gets hard too, but like it's I don't know. Death Mountain's just a huge difficulty spike, and then it calms down from there.
Yeah.
It's
Although I
just
know
like
if you're running any percent, then it's back to being stupid hard again.
yeah, any percent is a thing.
It's fascinating, but
Sure.
I do not know how people do that kind of stuff. That is wild to me. And I run
Yeah,
Mario 1. I
I
don't know.
honestly don't know much about the any percent run. I always just ran any percent or 100% all keys
Yeah, that's the
was
main
the
category to
category that I
say.
ran. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that's the most popular, but yeah, I usually like am interested in how any percent runs work, especially when there's heavy glitches involved, and that game is fascinating.
Have you seen LADX any percent at all?
I don't think so yet.
Because LADX any percent is like 2 minutes.
Ah, it's one of
Uh,
those. I know
yeah, there's a
Link to the Past is super short as well, but
yeah. Link to the Past is a minute and 28 now.
yeah.
Uh, I think
Classic
Sunijo
Zelda
just got
moment.
that one not too long ago. But
Are these all
yeah,
like arbitrary code executions at this point?
in the case of Link to the Past, it's just you do exploration glitch to get to the end.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
not it's not arbitrary code execution, but you're taking advantage of the fact that every submap or every like dungeon is on the same submap. So you
Hmm.
just get out of bounds on that submap and you just walk to the end of the game, essentially. And like the door to the Triforce is open at all times.
Well done.
Uh, so you just get out of bounds in the submap and you walk to the Triforce room, and the run is basically just how fast can you get out of bounds.
Yeah.
And the easy route, the really easy route, is like 3 minutes.
Hmm.
Or it's like I don't know, it's like a little bit under 3 minutes. But the faster route, aka the impossible route,
Mm.
to me at least, that's what I call it, is a minute and 28 now. Because it involves like multiple like frame perfectly diagonal D-pad inputs in a row.
Diagonal? Oh god. You've lost me.
Yeah.
Diagonals are my sworn enemy when it comes to that kind of stuff. Wow. But you were talking about LADX. Is that
Yeah, that's arbitrary code
okay?
execution. So you like it's best seen rather than talked about.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. So basically, the game. Imagine like, have you ever seen? You might know about the 6 golden coin speedrun.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like that. It looks
Really?
almost exactly like that in terms of like graphical messiness.
Like it's reading the code as like tiles?
Um,
Because
it's
that's
more
kind of
like
what two is
it's
doing.
just garbled. It's just garbled because it doesn't know what to read from, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna
But
say
like,
in 6 golden coins, it's like literally reading game data as like level tile, or that's like just how they display it. Like I don't know. I think it was Retro Game Mechanics had the video, but it's like in the game map, there's the level, a copy of the level for some reason, and then like the game data is read visually, and you can just see it all there. It's crazy stuff.
actually, the way I have my webcam set up right now, I might even be
Oop.
able to like show this through my webcam. Like just oh, hold on a
It
second.
like
Sorry.
crashed on me.
Yeah, my
Here,
bad.
hold
Hang
on.
on. Share screen. I can fix this. Let's
Technical difficulties. Please hold.
there we go. I should be back.
Yeah. Make sure I got this.
Very sorry about this. Yeah, I
It's
I
fine.
had my monitor off, and when I turned it back on, it messed everything up.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's
just
my
have
bad.
to. You're good. I'll just fix some stuff on my end. You can continue with what you were doing.
Okay. So, um, there's actually a category. This is actually a better demonstration of this. There's a category called 100% no restrictions in LADX. It's a 100% category, and I used to hold record for it. Say holds world record now, but um, the run is 33 minutes, and it's 100%. Also,
Hmm.
just opening up this here. Let me show this. All right, so this is part of the run. There won't be any volume, but you don't need any volume.
Hmm.
Uh,
I've never
where's
had
like
like
a
live
good.
visual demonstration before. I don't think this is a podcast first.
So here's Mambo's Mambo.
Are we
This
supposed
is where you
to
get.
see something?
Oh, is it not showing
I still just
the?
have your face cam.
Oh, what?
This could be Discord being Discord as well.
It may be.
Definitely
Either way,
show.
either way, if it doesn't work out, like yeah, just watch a 100% no restrictions run, and
Okay.
you'll see some really garbled stuff.
Visually baffling stuff.
Yes,
Yes.
to say the least.
The best thing to watch, clearly. Yeah.
Basically, as a result of you just like getting out of bounds in the game, not knowing which tile set to use, and so it uses the ones that it has on hand, and it
Not correct.
looks ridiculous.
Got it.
Not correct is yes.
I have
Yeah.
seen Link to the Past. I saw a run live. It was like for the first time I saw it was a longer category, but all of a sudden all the graphics were like plaid or
Hmm.
something. You probably know what I'm talking
Was
about, but
it one of Gland's runs?
I think Andy ran it at a speed
Oh, it was
run
Andy. Yep.
thing. Yeah. But yeah, like the graphics just looked like plaid and it was
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was looking at. But yeah, I don't know what categories you specialized in specifically, so you probably.
For Link to the Past, I didn't do like I dabbled very shortly in all dungeons, which is uh one of the more tame glitch categories. But I didn't. I just ran any percent MMG.
No major. Okay.
Uh,
Is that the
yeah,
most popular category for that game
yeah,
too? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. That's the main category for the game.
Hmm. So no major glitches, meaning like what glitches are allowed then?
It's kind of arbitrary what glitches are allowed, but essentially there are no like major game breaking glitches that are allowed. Like minor sequence breaks are fine.
Okay.
Like there's a trick called hammer jump in Palace of Darkness that you can do that just lets you skip like a room. But a very similar type of glitch later on is banned called Icebreaker that lets you skip even more of a dungeon.
Hmm.
So it's stuff like that. It's like it was basically like decided, I think, either via vote or like by um, like basically community majority, like back in a certain time period, like what was allowed and what wasn't. So yeah, but stuff like you can't go out of bounds.
Hmm.
You also can't save and quit. Like there's no save and quit allowed. There is a separate save and quit category, but yeah, you can't
That
save
is
and quit
something I've seen
in.
in Zelda a lot. Is like the saving quits are separated, or like the no up and A death warps are separated. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's what like I don't really know how exactly it originated, that kind of thing. I think that predates my time as
Hmm.
well.
Okay.
But as far as a no save and quit category goes, at least in terms or as far as the Link to the Past run goes, it's just to emphasize overworld movement a little more.
Okay.
Um, to yeah, just to like see more of the game, more of the overworld. That's my best guess, at least.
Hmm. Like you're not cutting out movement
No, yeah, exactly.
that, yeah, because was it the whole like Zelda 1 thing is not, now you can't like, you have to navigate back. You can't just, oh, now I'm back here and save time. Like I
Yeah,
kind of get it. It's
exactly.
just it can be a little confusing, I guess, but I mean, the people who know. I guess that's what's important.
Yeah.
But yeah. Zelda games I know usually have a lot of categories, especially if we go into the 3D territory. Then I have no idea what the hell's going on anymore. But
Yeah, I've never the only 3D Zelda that I've ever tried to speedrun is the Wind Waker. Or actually no, I did run any percent Ocarina of Time. I won't talk about either run. I won't talk about either either of
okay.
those and as they relate to me because yeah, I didn't really it's not that I didn't like running them, it's just that like they just weren't for me basically. Like
Mhm.
3D isn't really for me. Like 2D is where I specialize.
We all gotta have our thing. So
Yep.
yeah, it's nice to give it a try to know for sure, though. So
Hmm.
that's how you know.
Yeah, for sure. Like trying new things is good
Mhm.
in
So
speedrunning too.
so for so DX was like the most ran 2D Zelda then.
For me,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Um, I think Link to the Past may have overtaken it in terms of like pure gameplay amount
Okay.
at some point. But I never liked it as much as LADX.
Hmm. Was DX the only Zelda game we talked about so far that you've had record in?
Um, what other Zelda games have we talked about?
I think
Like
just 1, 2, 3, uh, LA non DX.
I did hold record in LA.
Okay.
Um, I think like I had like top 20 at one point in Zelda 1.
Really? Wow.
I don't know if I still do.
That's not easy.
I'm going back to SRC.
That's fine.
I have a 28. I have a 2859
Wow.
in Zelda 1. Um
Yeah, because
or
27 was like the magnum opus of
yeah.
that game, wasn't it? So that's not
Yep.
far off at all.
I am currently in 17th place actually. I okay.
Wow, there you go.
2 seconds behind my buddy Ice Blue.
Hmm. So you know how you have to do all the like screen warps and everything for that.
Yeah. Yeah. At that point it is an extremely hard run.
Oh yeah.
Even just to get a 28. Like it's very difficult. Zelda 2, any percent NMG, I think I was in third place at one point.
Wow.
And for Link to the Past, I was, I think, top 15,
I mean
something. I think
that's
it
a
was.
really popular run, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
compared to a lot of
yeah,
things. So that's pretty good. Definitely more
yeah.
so than
I spent a
Zelda
lot of
1.
time on these
Yeah.
games. Um,
I mean, yeah, if you had to do the trilogy, yeah,
yeah.
you have to know what you're doing. So, fair enough.
At one point, I even ran. So I made up my own multi-game category at one point called the. I called it the Classic Seven, the 2D Zelda Classic Seven, which was Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Link to the Past, LA, LADX, Oracle of Ages, Oracle of Seasons, all back to back. It was over 10 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Jesus. Were these like not heavy glitched categories?
Yeah, it was the main category of each game,
Okay.
essentially.
Oh, so that
Uh,
means like 100% Zelda 2 and
yeah,
okay. I see.
yeah, but every other one is like basically any percent. Like Oracle of Ages was any percent. Oracle of Seasons was all essences. Um, and LA was any percent no woob. LADX was any percent no woob.
These
I think.
games. Never heard anything quite like them.
Woob is great. Squoob is better.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's fun names.
Hmm.
Fun names for fun games.
And we haven't even talked about the Oracle games
No, we
since
haven't.
you brought
No.
that up. Are those are Game Boy
Yep, Game Boy Color.
Color? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like the Oracle games are like the least talked about in the franchise, so I know
they
nothing about
probably
them.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Capcom Zeldas are like
Those are
so underrated.
Capcom? Interesting.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oracles are Capcom. Minish Cap is Capcom.
Oh, really? Okay.
Uh, Four Swords is Capcom. Even though Four Swords is kind of just like a kind of a black sheep in the community, like just overall.
Yeah.
But I have speedrun Four Swords with my partner Amber Cyprin.
Hmm.
Um, and we don't have a run submitted to the leaderboards because we don't have we play on hardware and we don't have the necessary hardware to be able to display both screens like we need to submit.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, we actually ran Four Swords at SGDQ 2022.
Oh, that was in.
We ran Four Swords.
Did you do it online?
Yeah.
Okay, because that was an in-person event, so I was like, wait.
Yeah, we did the online.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
were one of the online runs, yeah.
yeah. They had a lot of those then, which makes perfect sense. But yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, that needs like some sort of link cable or something, right?
Yeah.
It's one of
Yep, it needs
those.
hang on, I actually have it
And
needs
is Four Swords a GBA?
yeah,
Okay.
one of these.
Yes. Okay. Do you
Yeah.
do that on like the GameCube's Game Boy player or like straight up on the?
Yeah, so
Okay.
my version was on the Game Boy Player and they played on GBASP,
Okay.
like
Got it.
sitting right next to me.
Hmm. Got it. Yeah, that sounds like a pain in the ass to set up. So I
Oh, yeah, a
understand.
little bit. It is a little bit of a pain, and it would be even more of a pain if we actually were to capture both.
How'd you get it working for
Uh,
GDQ?
we didn't capture both for GDQ.
Oh, just
We just
one.
had we just had like
Okay.
a side by side setup, but we only captured one screen, and we didn't care. They didn't care. We just
Okay. Fair enough.
yeah. So
Good.
like both players are still visible on the screen, despite the fact that there's only one feed showing. So
Okay. But they just
yeah,
don't allow that for like submission?
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Fair enough.
I'm not sure why, but
Okay.
if we played on emulator, we would be able to submit.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Well, that
not on
clears up my
hardware.
confusion. Not still a little confused by it, but now I understand. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But back to the Oracle games.
Mhm.
So yeah, two totally different types of main categories for those games too, because Oracle of Ages is any percent, and Oracle of Seasons is all essences. So Oracle of Seasons has an any percent that's about 30 something minutes. That involves some really strange a trick I've never actually attempted. So I don't know exactly how it works, but all I know is that you do a trick to a frame perfect trick to duplicate uh, a rooster over and over and over and over and over again, and you despawn the barrier in front of the last castle to just go in, storm the castle, and finish the game.
Awesome.
It's about yeah,
I
yeah.
love video games.
Yeah. I never did run that one, but I did run Oracle of Ages, any percent, which involves completing 6 dungeons and then performing arbitrary code execution to the final boss.
It's interesting to like do it so late into the run.
Actually, no, it's not even final boss. It's just end of the game. You just skip the final boss.
Hmm.
I remember
Like,
now.
how much of the game are you skipping over like an any percent no ace?
So there is an all essences category for any percent that or excuse me, for Oracle of Ages that I think is 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay, so it is
Uh,
still quite a bit.
it's still yes, it's quite a bit, or it's over 2 hours for sure. But any percent is an hour and 20, so you save about an hour.
It's just still interesting to me doing arbitrary code execution an hour in. Usually you do
Yeah,
it right away and
yeah,
it's like 5 minutes.
yep. So like basically, there's a flag in game that uh like prevents it from being possible until you finish 6 dungeons.
Hmm.
Uh, I think there's actually like there's somewhere that you need to go. I think it might be like Ambi's Palace or something that you need to complete before. before you do the execution, before you do the ace. And you can only access Ambi's Palace after 6 essences. I think that's it.
Okay.
Anybody who hears this who knows that I'm wrong can correct me.
Fair
It's
enough.
it's something like that. But yeah, all I know is that you do ace like an hour and 20 into the run.
Fair enough.
Yep.
So yeah, these are
That's another visual spectacle. Another
so I
visual graphical spectacle.
oh yeah. Um the thing I thought I heard about those games, again, I know next to nothing about these games, but it was like kind of the whole Pokemon thing, like
Hmm.
a red and blue type deal, which makes you assume like, oh, it's like essentially the same, but I guess they're
No.
not at
No,
all.
they are their own games.
All
They're
right.
completely their own games with similar elements between them, but um different item pool, different dungeons, different overworlds.
Hmm.
Basically just straight up different games.
I don't know
The
why
only
they did it that
similarity
way
is
then.
yeah, the only similarities are the fact that the main tree in the game is called the Maku tree. You play as Link, and it's the same engine.
Hmm. I wonder why that's the assumption I've gotten from it then. Oh well.
I think you nailed it actually because of like Pokemon Red and Blue and how
Yeah,
people
but
knew that
those
they're
are
based.
yeah. But those are like the exact same game minus like the Pokemon pool or whatever. Like some
Yeah,
are
but like I
exclusive.
I think a lot of people just assumed this was the same sort of deal.
Okay, because no one
Yeah.
knows about it. Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough.
exactly.
Got it. All right. So we're educating the people, including
We
myself.
are.
This
Yeah,
is
we're
this is
they're two different
crucial.
games,
Yes,
folks. Yeah, they're two totally different games.
crucial information. Let's go. Well, yeah, good to know because again, knew nothing. And those are so there were quite a bit of Zelda on like Game Boy Color. Interesting.
Yeah, I think there was DX, LADX, um Ages, Seasons, and I think that's it
Yeah,
actually.
but three for GBC of all things is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just like the right time period for it.
Hmm.
Or like Oracle of Ages and Seasons were very late Game Boy Color games.
Okay.
Like the GBA had been out by that point. And I still remember the Gamma. Those two games, the Gamma was like jacked way up on those games because of the fact that like GBA games at the time, or the GBA for whatever reason on Game Boy Color games just had like such a messed up like gamma setting, and it displayed them super dark. So to compensate, when they made those games, they turned the gamma way up. I still remember on my because I play on something called GBI Game Boy Interface when I
Hmm.
play on console. I had to set the gamma way down for those games and make it a lot darker for them to be even like presentable
Hmm.
in the capture. So
Yeah, because that display doesn't have the problem.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So it just appears super bright, and it's like it's
Yeah.
sunny indoors.
Yeah, the GBI needs the Game Boy Player for GameCube, right? That's what that is.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it's still proper. It's still like official hardware.
Hmm.
But it's just homebrew software.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm asking because I really want to like the only console I've never owned through Nintendo like home television consoles is the GameCube. And
Mm,
like I have a Wii, like obviously that's a GameCube too, but the whole point is to get the GBP with
yeah.
the GBI so you can play like GBC and GPA.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
really nice. Yeah. GBI is good.
that was a hard sentence to say, but you need so you need the you can abbreviate GameCube as GC. So you need the GC with GBP and GBI to play GB, GBC, and GBA. There we go. That's not confusing.
That sounds exactly correct. Yes.
Hmm. So yeah. Anyway, looking into that. Anyway.
Yeah. If you can get the parts, like I would definitely recommend it.
Hmm. Yeah, like I have the SNES, which with the SD to SNES actually has Super Game Boy
More
support.
letters.
Yes, but I love Nintendo anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's yeah, I've also got the SD to SNES.
yeah,
I've got an NES Everdrive too.
yes. The that has Super Game Boy 2 support. So if you launch a Game
Oh, does it?
Boy, yeah, if you launch a Game Boy ROM, it boots it up like you're playing on Super Game Boy 2, which is very
I didn't
nice.
know that. I had no idea.
There's
Wow.
your fun fact of the day then, which is good for the what is it? Game Boy, Super Game Boy enhanced Game Boy games.
So
That
that wait,
functionality works.
so this is the SD to
SD to
SNES.
SNES, yeah, you can just load up a Game Boy ROM and it will treat it like you're launching it through Super Game Boy 2.
Oh my God. This might be like I might try. Okay. Well, never mind. I can't run Minish Cap on that because that's a GBA game.
That should be yeah. This is
Okay, yeah.
strictly
Only.
GB, not even GBC. So
Oh, okay,
yeah, this is
okay.
maybe maybe LA, but
Yeah, possibly. Okay,
that is how I ran. You mentioned it earlier, Mario Land 2. I did a 12-hour challenge
gotcha.
for that game. There you go. And yeah, I just used the SD SNES had the Super Game Boy 2 support and it works just fine.
That's awesome. I had no idea that was a thing. I had an idea, but yeah, the fact that it's GB only, like,
Yeah,
threw
like
it
the
right out the
Super Game
window
Boy
for.
only did Game Boy,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Also, is it Super Game Boy or Super Game Boy 2 that has like very increased frame rate? Like
The
the
original Super Game Boy is the one that had the messed up frame rate.
gotcha.
And then the Super Game Boy 2 was only released in Japan, which had the correct frame rate, but this
Okay,
mimics the Super Game Boy 2. So it's fine. You can actually in the menu change it to be Super Game Boy 1. I don't know why you do that,
really?
but that function exists. So there you go. But yeah, very
That's
nice.
amazing. Yeah, that's something I had no idea was a thing. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, the most obviously if you have like the Game Boy interface, it's fine. You're probably better off doing that, but I know
Yeah.
some Game Boy games have like Super Game Boy enhanced versions or whatever and that functionality works. So,
Yeah, like the borders and
yeah,
stuff,
the
like
borders,
yeah.
the custom colors.
Yep.
So, it's pretty cool. That's how I played a couple games. So, it's fun that it exists.
Mhm.
Yeah. So have we 2D Zelda'd or Zeldas gone over most of everything other than the modern
Um,
games?
I think the only one I haven't really talked about much is Minish Cap,
Oh yeah, true.
which is the game that I'm running right now.
Hmm.
Or that I did run before and I've come back to now.
Yeah.
Uh, so I joined the Minish Cap community back in 2021. Like I started running it back in 2021, I think. At kind of an interesting time. Uh, so back when I joined, it was Vlak SR that held the record for any percent. I've run any percent in glitchless. I never ran Hundo. It was a little bit too long for me at the time, but uh, yeah. So the any percent record I think was a 131 by Vlak. The record now, by comparison, is a 126.49. I think Toadswood has it now. The run is totally different now, and over the course um of my first tenure with the game, it underwent a bunch of changes. So there's a trick called Octo Clip where you can clip into the boss of Temple of Droplets. Um, and that trick used to be frame perfect, and if you miss it, you lose a minute and 15 seconds.
Hmm.
Um, Nobody ran the game at that point except for me. Like there were a couple of people who'd run the game who maybe ran the game like a little bit more casually. I was the only one who was actually grinding the game at the time. Um, I ended up getting the first sub 130. I had record, and I ended up grinding that down. I don't know how I kept my sanity in check with that trick the way it was. I ended up getting that time down to a 127.40, which is still my current PB, and that's what I'm trying to beat now. But um, at the time, I had the record by about 4 minutes, I
Wow.
think. And since then, Octoclip has been made a lot more consistent, thank goodness. And also like, well, maybe not more consistent, but you only lose 15 seconds instead of a minute and 15 now when you fail it. It's
That's
still
good.
frame perfect, but the setup is quicker. It requires less things to do beforehand. So like before you needed to like get an extra bottle to get an extra fairy to revive yourself for the trick. You no longer need to do that because it doesn't involve a revival. It's just a frame perfect input on ice physics because ice physics are jank as hell in
Hmm.
the game. Uh, so you no longer need to do that. You no longer need to get a bottle or a fairy or anything like that. So it saves a minute on its own just from that, just from the lesser requisites for the trick, and the trick itself is also less punishing for a failure. So like the run has become a lot more accessible at a higher level because of that, and it's been very healthy for the scene of the game. That plus the tournament that just happened at the end of last year as well. Like back in like November, December, I think there was a Minish Cap tournament that ignited a lot of interest in it as well, and the game got pushed down even further thanks to that. So so like I got into it at first at a really interesting time. I'm coming back to it at a much more active, much more healthy time to get back into it. So, but yeah, I mean, like ultimately the goal for me is to get a 126 because that's about a minute lower than my current PB. Um, Maybe even further if I want to if the desire remains there. But essentially, yeah, like Minish Cap is probably like some of the most fun I've had running 2D Zelda. It's like there's something about Minish Cap that I just super enjoy about playing. It's the combination of like the aesthetics, the way the game feels. Even though I never really played Minish Cap like as a kid, I think I played it for the first time in college. Um, like it still feels nostalgic to me. I guess college is nostalgic for me at this point. God, I'm old, but yeah, essentially, like yeah, it still feels nostalgic, and a lot of people also feel the same way. The folks watch who watch the runs that I do, so it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun hanging around the community. It's been fun like running the game, been fun playing, and it's been fun speedrunning it.
Hmm. It's nice that it had that little revolution to spark more interest as well.
Yeah,
Love when
yep.
that happens.
Every now and again, a game needs that.
Yeah, especially when it makes it the accessibility easier. Like
Yeah.
that's the best part. So glad that's going well because
Yeah, just like
sounded like
even if
hell in
by
the
more
past.
even if by more accessible, it just means like a little bit more competitive because there are more people interested,
Hmm.
you know? Like
Sure.
even that in itself can lend itself to like a more accessible speed game.
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. Again, I know Zelda games usually now they're all very different, but usually all share the commonality of being pretty hard. So
Yeah,
it's
they
nice.
can be hard, but like the good thing about games like Oracle's, LADX, even the Minish Cap, like they are as hard as you want to make them.
Hmm.
They are easy to get into, easy to learn. Like again, I learned LADX for a 12-hour challenge. I did super baby strats for like, for quite a bit of time. I was able to ease my way into it. And so somebody who's just starting out can do the same thing. And I think that's important too for the health of a game. It's just like, have your have your strats that you can do that get you into a game and get you interested, and then on your own terms, at your own pace, you can ramp that up and start to go for more difficult strats.
easy to learn, difficult to master.
Yep.
The classic
Yep.
saying. Makes
Nail on
sense.
the head. Exactly.
Hmm. So I guess to just stay on the topic of Zelda, we can dive into the remake and then the obviously the new Zelda game
Mhm.
because those would be the most modern stuff. So what was that like getting the announcement, be like, "Yep, this is on the list," and
I thought I was dreaming. Like the
really,
when they announced the remake for Link's Awakening, I was like, wait, like it was like, wait, are they're really doing this? Like, is a prank? Like,
I don't think
I couldn't believe it.
known for pranking people, but
No, no, no. Like, I mean, that's just what was going through my head. I'm like,
yeah.
I can't believe this is happening. Like, they're remaking this, and at that moment, I was like, I'm speedrunning it. Like,
Hmm.
the game is coming out in 6 months, but I'm speedrunning it. Like, there's no question.
I mean, you
And
have
it
to.
was, yeah, I have to. Like, I literally have to. I'm obligated. But yeah,
Contractually.
and that speed run was uh any percent is brutal for that game.
Oh.
At a high level, it's brutal. So the most notorious trick in that game, and I don't mean this in a good way, is something called Hinox Warp. So there are mini bosses in 3 of the dungeons called Hinoxes, where they're like the big monsters with one eye that you fight as mini bosses. So if you get damaged and get grabbed by a Hinox on the same frame, uh, it interrupts some kind of like animation or flag or process or whatever, and causes you to zip across time and space to some other point in the dungeon.
Okay.
The where you end up in that dungeon, or if you void out, if you go out of like the bounds of the dungeon, where you end up is dependent on your position, basically down to a floating point.
Oh.
Um, or yeah, so it's there are setups for it. There are actually like quite reliable setups for it. But they are still frame perfect inputs. You need to fire a bomb arrow at a wall to damage yourself on the same frame you get grabbed. And if you do it right, you'll zip to the room that has the instrument. And it is brutal to get all 3 of them frame perfect in one run. Uh, okay, so actually, it's not. It's 2 of them. 2 of them need to be frame perfect. The other one has a setup where you fall in a hole and get grabbed at the same time, but it has a 1 in 3 chance to actually work.
Oh.
It's just luck.
Fantastic. My
It's
favorite.
just, yeah, it's just luck. It's just luck to get it to work. Since then, the run has developed more. I ended up getting the first ever sub hour in that game.
Wow.
In any percent. I think the run. I think Ruben got it down to like 56. I think actually, the Lime Films took record from me initially, and then Ruben has it now. I think with a 56 something, which is absurd. Um, so that trick, Hinox Warp, is so bad that we made an any percent no Hinox Warp category. Straight up. Like,
Fair enough.
and I do have to shout out the community for like, you know, having the sort of like grace to allow a category like this. Because that trick made that run so unfun. No Hinox Warp I think is still the best category for that game. And it's yeah, it actually like changes the route a lot too. So it's like it's enough on its own right to be its own thing, and it gets rid of the worst trick in the whole run like by a lot. So it's yeah. Have you ever hated a trick so much that you just made a category that banned only that trick?
No, I wish.
Basically, it's a well. I mean, it's I can understand like if a community doesn't want to go that route, um, but luckily the LAS community decided that was for the best. They're like it was so bad that it was killing everyone's interest in the run.
Hmm.
Um, sort of like Minish Cap, except imagine Octoclip, the version that loses a minute and 15 if you fail it, 3 times throughout a run.
Nice.
And yeah, it's I think it's easy to understand why they'd want to go that route.
Mm-hmm. Not arguing. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
true. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, I'm glad things worked out in
Yeah,
some
for
way.
sure. It's I haven't been involved with LAS in quite a few years now, but yeah, they've continued to push that rundown. There's even a new trick found like somewhat recently that Glitchless uses using a gyro, I think it is, to like push you across a river to get to Candlelight Castle early.
Hmm.
If memory serves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all I got on LAS.
But obviously very different from its source material.
Oh yeah. It's not like LA and LADX being not the same run.
Yeah.
LAS is a completely different like
Yeah, it's
it,
a different game. Yeah.
it's totally different. Like I mean it's obviously a completely updated engine. Uh the game operates on more than just the X and Y axis. There
Mm.
is a Z axis, there is. It's just very limited. And then Echoes on top of that. Grezzo, who made both games LAS and Echoes of Wisdom, took the Z axis and actually made it a proper Z axis. It allowed you to fly through the air, basically.
Hmm. Well, speaking of echoes, might as well finish off the everything. The
Yeah,
Zelda.
sure. So I talked about Echoes a little bit earlier. Um, oh God, okay, so like the um any percent. Any percent, let's start with any percent Echoes of Wisdom. Any percent unrestricted is one of the few categories I have not run because it involves. So not only do I not have the like fastest version for that run, which is version 1.0.1, not only do I not have access to that version, nor does anybody unless they just never updated their game or have a homebrewed system.
Hmm.
Not only that, but it involves a trick where you basically build a tower to the sky using a bunch of rocks, shrubs, like treasure chests and whatnot. I think the trick has gone through a couple different iterations and a couple different names. All of them are named after Pokemon, by the way. Uh, it was Onyx because it was just a giant tower of rocks that looked like Onyx, the Pokemon. Pseudo Wudo when they started introducing like shrubs and wood in there and like like wooden treasure chests in there. Um, what else was there? I think I saw somebody call it Zerkatry once, which I don't even want to pretend to be interested to know what that's about. um, but yeah, essentially, you build a tower up to the sky, and you void out on the sky, and read a sign on the same like not on the same frame. It's a 3 frame window, but you do that, and then so you get something called menu storage. Forgive me if I'm a little bit spacey on this explanation.
Fine.
So like you do something, you get something called menu storage, which essentially lets you move around in the overworld and have the menu open at the same time, and that allows you to select 2 different points at once on a map to warp to, and that lets you uh, semi randomly warp somewhere where you're not supposed to be able to warp on the map. And the reason I say semi randomly is because it works only 60% of the time. There is a much more reliable way to do this if you actually have access to like the underworld map, the stilled world in the game. Uh, but you don't have access to that, or you do. It's just slower, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know the specifics, but you use that to warp somewhere, and then you do a wrong warp to the final boss. And the run, Ruben has record there at I think a 33:53, if I'm not mistaken. So 33 minutes is the record for Echoes of Wisdom. Any percent. Um, there's also, and huge kudos to the community for actually creating this category. There's also any percent restricted, which bans random wrong warps, which is the trick that you do when you build the tower up to the sky. Um, so you you ban random wrong warps and 90% restricted. It forces you to complete the first dungeon so that you can access the point where you just wrong warp to the final boss after you complete the first dungeon. So that category has been way more accessible. You can run it on any version except for the current patch. That includes any physical version of the game because all physical versions run on 1.0.0 right now. Um, yeah, the version situation in the game is like a mess, and they patched it. They patched out menu storage in 1.0.2, which was not ideal for the speedrunning community for sure. But we've found ways to keep the game active. Um, there's also, I think the most fun category of the game is all dungeons, or excuse me, whoops, okay. Uh, so all dungeons and glitchless are like actually the two most fun categories of the game. Um, glitchless showcases like a ton of the movement tech. I started with glitchless. It actually showcases like the movement tech that comes about when you get all the echoes that you're supposed to get throughout a playthrough, like echoes like Pathblade, echoes like Gustmaster and Giro, which combine together to let you fly, basically. Um, echoes like Flying Tile, which is extremely useful for gaining a bunch of height and also for uh, lateral traversal across gaps and across whatever you want. And that's a 3.5 hour category, which is the only real downside. But I think it has some of the most fun tech in that run. And then you have all dungeons, and all dungeons utilizes the wrong warp trick and menu storage to wrong warp to each dungeon and complete the dungeon. And it just feels like a more complete category that's sort of like a midway between the shortness and briefness of any percent and the length, like the pure length of glitchless. Um, but yeah, like there's something for everyone in the Echoes community for sure. And glitchless you can run on any patch. So glitchless is definitely the most accessible category, especially if you have upgraded your game to 1.0.2 or if that's just the version you started with or played casually. Um, unless you get a physical cartridge and factory reset your Switch, unfortunately, you have to play on current patch. But 1.0.0 is available if you feel like factory resetting your Switch, which I know isn't ideal, of course, but um, that's just how it is
Yeah,
right
just
now.
buy a Switch 2 and then factory reset your Switch 1.
True. I was
It's
lucky
coming
enough to actually
soon.
have I was lucky enough to have two Switches because I had my model, not quite my Model 1, but my like the first one I got, which was like Model 2 or whatever. And then I got a Zelda OLED,
Mm,
which I had to. I had to get the Zelda OLED.
of course.
Um, and so that's become like my main Switch, and the other Switch, the older Switch, has become like my Echoes of Wisdom glitched Switch essentially. Uh, so yeah, and I had to get a physical cartridge too, but it I liked the game enough and I liked speedrunning it enough where I thought it was worth it, and um, but yeah, bunch of fun things to run in the game.
Mhm. I'm glad there's options for everyone because that does sound like a complicated mess to deal with,
Yeah,
more so than most Switch games.
it is. It's just really unfortunate that the patch needed to happen. Because I thought there was no way at all that a patch was ever going to happen for like anything in the game because of the way they treated LAS. Same developer, Grezzo. Um, LAS has all this game breaking stuff that's been found over like months and years by the community, and none of it ever got patched. None of it
Hmm.
ever got patched. And then in Echoes, all of a sudden, it gets patched. So I'm just like, what? Like, but it is what it is. And yeah, nothing really we can do about it except just work around it.
Oh well, 'tis how it goes.
Yep.
So all Zelda, oops, all Zelda. Sounds like we covered it
Oops.
all.
Also,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Hmm.
I think
So
so. Yeah.
obviously, so you do the whole old 2D Zelda thing as we talked about, but like the other big thing is indie games specifically.
Yeah. Celeste is the
Hmm.
one that comes to mind for me.
Yes, because we covered Undertale already.
Yeah, Celeste was a journey. Um, and
That's the point of the game, actually.
yes, yes. There came a point running Celeste where like um I began to realize like a side of me that was toxic unto myself when I ran Celeste, and that was the reason I ultimately stopped. That was when I realized that like you know speedrunning, like I don't know, I get way too much into what I do. Like I have ADHD, and that means I tend to hyper focus on things in
Hmm.
general. Like I tend to hyper focus on like speedrunning, and that was like one of the ugliest like examples of that was Celeste. Um, like Celeste was a game that I took a step back and said, or rather, like before I took a step back, I said I want to be the best that there is at this game. I want to be the best in the world at this game. And for a time, I was. And it took a lot of grinding, a lot of effort because of the sheer amount of people who ran that game and the sheer amount of talent in that community who ran that game and, you know, who like the community like surrounded itself with. Um, and although I really enjoyed my time playing Celeste, times crept forth where I realized that I needed to take a step back, and at one point I even said, "Okay, I need to stop completely," and that's exactly what I did, and I have not speedrun the game since.
Mm.
Um, so like essentially, I let me get my thoughts together for a second. Um, I realized, I guess the simplest possible way I can put it is that I realized that speedrunning isn't everything. Uh, and there are more important things in life than beating myself up over a game and over improving. And like looking back, it seems like such a like such a simple thing to have learned, but back then it was huge for me. And like back then it was a pretty big a pretty big deal. Um, but then I look back and I'm like, well, of course, speedrunning isn't everything. Like I'm a more mature person now. Like I've learned a lot since then. But like, yeah, it's not everything. And just like, I've moved past that mindset. And I feel like since then though, I've been able to adapt to a much healthier mindset when it comes to speed running and anything that I might happen to hyper focus on in my life. Is just like, I'm I can't go at it too hard, or else I'm going to fall into that trap again.
All right. Well,
Yeah, that's basically all I have to say about that.
okay. So you don't want to dive into Celeste more than that.
Um, Not really. I mean, like
Fair
it's
enough.
yeah, it again. It was fun while I was running it. Like there were certainly fun times, like chasing like the highs of PBs were was an extremely like satisfying thing to do. But it came to a point where, uh, well, it came to a point, and it just like yeah,
Yeah.
I hope you understand. But like yeah, it's just like. it got to be too much, and I had to take a step back from it.
Mm. Yeah, I just know it's an important part of the history, and then obviously mentally learn some things, which is always important. So
Yeah, I still love the game. I still go back and play it every now and again. I just don't really have any interest in like putting myself through any sort of speedrun grinding anymore for it.
mm, yep, makes sense. I mean, you I know obviously you had records in the game, like you've done
Mhm.
enough, so
Yeah, I
no
yeah,
reason no reason to
it's
beat up over it.
yeah, I will say that it is absolutely absurd to like look at that leaderboard now. As somebody who had world record for several years in that game, um, to see how low the times have gotten. Like it's actually incredible to go back and look at. I'm like jaws on the floor, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I like how did this happen? It got so low.
Hmm. My fun fact is I still haven't played Celeste.
You should.
I'm cringe. I know. I I've met and talked to Mr. Barry himself, and I still have not played the
no.
game.
Noel's super nice.
Yeah. He did commentary for a run. The Celeste 64. I was at PAX West, little
Oh,
GDQ's thing,
sick.
so got to
Yeah,
meet it. I was
Noel
just like,
Noel
"Yep,
was
still haven't
on
played the game." Whoopsie daisy.
Noel was on the couch for the race between myself and YP. The first time Celeste was at a GDQ was SGDQ 18.
Oh,
Noel and Maddie were both on the couch for that run,
oh, huh.
and
I was at, that
as
was the
well
first
as
GDQ I've ever went to.
oh, was it?
Yeah, SGQ 2018. I
Oh,
remember.
yeah.
Well,
But yeah, Noel, Maddie, and Kevin Regami were on the couch for that.
really, all right.
That was a
Wow.
couch.
No, that's sick. I didn't know they were all there because obviously you go to the gaming convention, like
Yep.
so. Speedrunning is a little different,
Hmm.
specifically, but that's super sick. Um, there was a question if you did you do Celeste before Zelda 2?
Oh, yes, I think. Oh God, I don't know. Um, I think I did. Yeah, because Celeste was like super early in 2018, right? It was like February or January of 2018.
Yeah, if it led
Um,
to SGQ 2018, it sounds about
yeah,
right.
Zelda 2 like trilogy stuff I did around like 2019, 2020,
Okay,
if I am not terribly mistaken.
close enough.
It's hard to keep exact track, but yeah, Celeste was before I did Zelda 2, yes.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Uh,
I feel like I took a much healthier mindset into games like Zelda 2, um, like the trilogy overall. Like it was more it was more fun based for me. It's like that's the best way I can describe it, is like it was less business and more fun based. Uh just like having fun speedrunning games again was like sort of became the priority after the Celeste grind like basically ended for me. Um it ended it was one of the Celeste was one of the few grinds, like Celeste 80% was one of the few grinds that ever actually ended like on a bad note for me.
mm,
Um because I never did, like my PB is a 2702 and I wanted a 26 really badly at the time, and I never got it. Uh I decided that I need like it there came a time where like I decided, and my partner Amber helped me decide as well, like help talk me through it, like that I needed to put my mental health first. And that's what I did. So I
mm-hmm.
stopped. It was extremely unsatisfying to stop at that point, but and it was hard for me
Yeah,
to
no.
want to for me to stop at that point, but I did. Uh I feel like I had to at
Oh
this
yeah,
point.
mental health's really important, and then making sure doing speedrunning purely for fun
Mhm.
as the like primary factor. Yeah, very important stuff. I think we all have to learn that if we you know, do it too much. It's something every speedrunner has to learn at some point just
Mhm.
to save their sanity. I've definitely been there. I'm still learning, in fact. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So,
I think ironically enough, like for that mentality, I'm a better speedrunner now than I was then. So like it's I guess it's like a more relaxed thing as well.
mhm.
Like it's just
Like
uh
speedrunning can be very anxiety inducing. It really
yeah,
can be.
like
So,
mentality is so much more important than a lot of people realize in speedrunning. Like mentality and just like the way you think about the game you're playing, the way you think about like your process of speedrunning, the way you think about what exactly you're trying to do is so important. And for me, I feel like taking a step back in addition to improving my mental health like actually helped me like helped my speed runs. Um for reasons besides that too. So
mhm. So yeah, I'll leave that game at that. But
okay.
obviously there's plenty of other indie games you've at least touched on. Maybe not to world record level, or maybe I don't know the full history, but it sounded like when you were going over your list, there were quite a few like pretty big indie games.
Yeah, so Fez comes to mind for that one.
Hmm.
Um I don't have a ton to say about Fez.
I know next to nothing
I did
about that other than like it 2D-ish game, but it like rotates.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a lot of people call it 2.5D,
yeah,
and
that's
I
the
think that
term.
that's probably the best example of a 2.5D game that I can think of. Um, is like, it is a 2D game, except when you make it 3D, and like, or except when you rotate the screen, then it becomes it's a 2D game, but on more than one axis. I don't know.
2.5.
It has depth still.
Yes.
But yeah, it's Fez was a lot of fun to run. Um, it's a very slow paced platformer, which was interesting for me to go about running because uh, that this predates Celeste.
Oh, okay.
I think it was one of the few like had I run I'd run V6 at the
I
time.
love
V6 was
V6.
another yeah,
I've never
V6
run
was
it,
another
but
it was another 12-hour challenge game for me.
I made
Like
it a
I
12-hour challenge game for me, but I ended up not doing it. Or I didn't
oh, I
do.
got you.
That was like the last 12-hour challenge I would have done. I don't know. I think I was busy and rip, but I
I
almost ran
learned
it. I almost did.
nice. I learned 100%
Mm.
for the 12-hour challenge,
So is
which
that all trinkets then?
yeah,
Does that
yeah, all
include map
trinkets.
completion or is it just trinkets?
I think it's just trinkets, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
it is just trinkets.
Got it.
But boy, I think that was the only platformer I had run at that point was V6, and then I learned Fez sometime after that, and that was an experience because Fez is just a very slow, floaty platformer. It's a puzzle platformer. Like it's obviously like there's nothing like nothing kills you or anything like that. Like there are no deaths in the game. It's a puzzle platformer and it's just slow. It's just a very slow paced platformer. Uh, so it was interesting, and I feel like Fez does actually like when I think about it that way. I think Fez did play a certain part in like my growth of mentality when it comes to how to optimize runs because I had to think more about just doing things fast. I had to think about ways to make what I was doing faster. And that might sound really ridiculous in in a vacuum, but like I'll give you a perfect example. There's a tech in the game um, that involves corners. If you grab a corner and you jump away from it, normally you just jump off the corner as if you're doing a normal jump. But if you hold any other direction, Gomez, who's the main character, doesn't do anything. He doesn't jump. Um, but if you hold away from the corner and then like a couple of frames later, you hold the other direction into the corner, he'll do a jump off the corner, but in the other direction. Uh, I had to really focus on my inputs to get that to work. basically. So that's just one example though. But like Fez taught me, I think if Fez taught me anything, it's that there is more to speedrunning than just doing things fast. Uh, doing things in a way that that let me see if I can word this properly. Um, doing things that make the game work faster in your favor. I don't know how much sense that makes, but
I
yeah,
get the gist.
it taught me that like the speed of my inputs and the timing of my inputs are not everything that matters.
Mhm.
Basically, when it comes to going fast, when it comes to doing speed runs.
Got it. So,
And I think I held record in that game for quite a while.
mm,
I want to say like the game was timed in IGT. My PB, I want to say my PB was a 26 uh 2654. The run is way lower now. I think
mm,
Wilco still has the record. Um, I'm looking on SRC. Hang on.
it's fine.
Slash Fez. Yeah, Wilco has record with a 2430. Yeah, 2654 was my IGT PB. I'm still 8th place, which I'm pretty happy with, actually.
Definitely been a while, so not bad.
That run was 7 years ago.
Well, yeah. Again, especially indie games are games I haven't really looked into. Luckily, I played V6, like I
Hmm.
said, and that game is great. But yeah, Fez is another one I
Yeah,
haven't.
V6 is fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, so good. I definitely like top 5 OSTs. I think for me personally, just oh my god, love that game. But I know you messaged uh, me fumbling the words here will make sense. You mentioned the messenger. That
Oh yeah, yeah. I
English.
ran.
Ugh. Anyway, yeah, I have
No, I
played
understand.
that
I
game a little
understand.
bit. I beat
Yeah.
half of it, so
I ran the 8-bit category for Messenger.
which is half of
So
it.
yeah, exactly, exactly. It's actually like more like a third of it or something.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Well,
like the 80% is super long for or at least it was back
well,
when I ran it.
I casually did 8-bit and then stopped for
Nice.
some reason. But yes, and this was so long ago now. But yeah, I remember it because it's like Ninja Gaiden esque, and
Mhm.
the movement just very good. And
It's a little easier than Ninja Gaiden, but
that's another
um,
reason I liked it.
yep, yep,
But no, yeah, it
yeah,
just it
Messenger.
felt really good to play. But again, I'm remembering from years ago, but the speed run was pretty cool to watch because I love watching Ninja Gaiden on the NES, and it has that same kind of itch that it scratches. Obviously, not the difficulty factor, but
Yeah. Oh, this is really funny. I'm looking at the time because I ran 8-bit out of bounds.
mm,
Uh,
there's out of
my
bounds. Yeah.
time was a 34:25. Uh, for IGT. The record is a 15:05.
Holy shit!
Oh, it is less than half of my time. That's amazing. So like they're I mean,
That's crazy.
I don't know. The run is probably way different, I would imagine.
Guess you
Yeah,
haven't
like
looked into it in a while,
no, 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 no.
which is
I
fair.
ran it for like a week or so.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Like a
how
week or
like
two.
important it was, but
No, it was like a one-off, or it was like
okay,
the equivalent of a one-off. It was a few off, if you will.
gotcha.
The
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what games you mentioned, and I remembered that one.
there's Die DYE,
Ah, okay.
and
The color,
yeah,
not the kill. That's good.
yeah. Even though there is a lot of dying in the game,
Okay.
there's the I think even my record has like something like 20 deaths or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's a fun little indie game. It's a much faster paced platformer. Um, that's like kind of a not really a collectathon. I wouldn't call it a collectathon, but it does involve like collecting certain. I guess it is a collectathon actually. But it's designed to be like a brutal precision platformer, um, where you collect pigments. I think they're called pigments. You collect pigments, and that unlocks further levels and eventually the boss of a world. And there are 4 worlds where and each world is themed after a color, and
Hmm.
that's where Dai comes in. And the main character's name is Hugh,
Of
and
course.
Hugh is hang on, I think I still have Hugh in an emote of mine. Uh, I do. This is Hugh right here. Wait, what? Oh, uh, TGH angry. That's Hugh right there. Um, so yeah, you play as Hugh and you go through worlds themed after certain colors. I think it's like blue, green, purple, and uh, red. I think those are the colors. Or
Damn, he's
purple,
pissed.
purple, blue, green, and red are the colors. Yeah,
God,
he's pissed.
he's
Yeah,
so pissed. That's
he's not that pissed in game. He's just pissed in that emote.
okay.
Um, but yeah, like it's a fun little indie game. I would recommend Die to
Okay.
folks. The devs are also really cool people. I ran Die at SGDQ 2018 with the devs on the couch.
Man, SGQ was a 2018 was a great event for devs on the couch, apparently.
Did I wait? Did I wait? No, AGDQ 2018. That's what it
Okay.
was. Yeah,
Well,
sorry, not
still.
SGDQ. SGDQ was Celeste.
Yeah, okay.
AGDQ was Die.
I mean, you could have two runs in one event, so wasn't sure,
You
but
can. Yep.
okay. Got it. That was the last AGDQ that was in that one hotel that I've never visited because
Oh yeah, the Dulles Hotel.
Dulles, that's right. Okay.
I liked that hotel. I liked that venue.
I've never been there because the first AGDQ was I went to was 2019 and that
Mm,
was in like a north of Bethesda for 1 year and then it was in Orlando for 1 year. Now it's in Pittsburgh. It keeps moving.
yeah. Oh god, the one thing I remember about the HDQ 19 venue was the hallway, like
Murder Hallway, we all
the
it's always mentioned. Yes.
yeah, the like windy like horror movie hallway.
Murder Hallway. That
Yeah.
is the we have collectively established it is as the Murder Hallway. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing scarier than that was the snowstorm that I
Oh
missed my
yeah.
flight after traveling for like 3 hours trying to get to it. Fun times. Anyway,
God.
would have preferred the Murder Hallway at that point.
Uh,
But yeah,
I still don't know what the deal with that hallway was. Like, why was that even there? Like,
they were
construction or something
yeah
was going on.
construction,
Yeah.
and it was just the only way to get from the lobby to what do they call that?
Yeah, to like the ballroom or whatever.
Yeah, the center. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that was fun. And it was so small. But yeah, everyone, I swear, whenever I bring up HDQ 2019 to someone that was there, it's always like, remember the murder hallway? We all remember it.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did it on purpose to make it memorable. Make it so
Well,
that you remember their
mission
venue.
accomplished, I guess.
Yeah.
Good times. I really liked that venue, other than the winner. But I mean, Pittsburgh
Mm.
isn't any better. But like, I
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
haven't
the
been to
rooms
a
were so
Pittsburgh one yet, but
massive, and I don't know, school and all the extra stuff were just like underground underneath the main stage. And I don't know, good venue. All, all I have to say about that, I guess. But
I had fun. I had a lot of fun.
yes, that was fun. Other than the winter, but getting snowed in. Anyway, was that? Am I missing any other games? You would know more than I.
Um, I have no idea.
I
Can take a
guess
quick
that's all
look.
the memorable ones, at least.
Oh, there's
Otherwise,
Tunic.
oh
Tunic.
yeah, okay.
I don't want to say too much about Tunic in terms of the game itself, other than you should play it if you haven't. Uh, but like, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't played it, even though the game is like 3 years old by this point. Uh, Definitely give it a play if you haven't. Tunic is amazing. It is basically classic Zelda meets Fez meets Dark Souls.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
that's an
like,
interesting blender.
yeah, it has overworld um and exploration like Zelda, puzzles like Fez, and combat like Dark Souls.
Hmm. Yeah, I knew it was very Zelda-esque because obviously the character is dressed in like Link's tunic almost. Well, tunic.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the name. But yeah, I
I can't. I'll never forgive myself if I don't mention Sonic 3D Blast.
oh my God,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, Sonic 3D Blast was a very fun speed game.
Was
Believe
that
it
the
or not,
Genesis
very fun.
version?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. The Genesis version. I played on Wii Virtual Console, but
Hmm.
um, I used to have record in that. King Roads has the 90% record now, or the beat the game record. I still have record in the best ending category for
Really? Wow.
Genesis. Yeah, somehow it's a 3-year-old record. Um, but yeah,
No, I do have nostalgia for 3D Blast. I had the PC version actually, but like early 2000. Well, I guess it would have come out in like late 90s, but like it's based on the Saturn version, just with a weird, different special stage, I believe.
yeah. I think were they released? I don't think they were released simultaneously. I think that the Genesis version came out
Yes, it came out
first.
first.
Yeah,
The whole Saturn main Sonic thing did
yeah,
not come to fruition. Should they just like remade 3D Blast? But well, not even remade, just like enhanced the graphics and music, but and special stages. My God, the Genesis special stages are rough, but you would know about that.
yeah. They're less than stellar for sure.
Really? But yeah, it's just interesting that so I'm familiar with what should be the Saturn version, except the special stages were different again. So there's like three different special stages. I don't know. That game's has a fascinating history, but
Yeah.
I'll have to play the
Speak,
Genesis version sometime.
Speaking of history, I just wanted to mention real quick. So, I have mentioned my partner Amber a couple times.
Hmm.
3D Blast, Sonic 3D Blast is actually how I met my partner.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
yeah. So,
I know
Amber
they're a
Cypher,
big
who,
Sonic person, but I didn't.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So, people who are watching this might know Amber from hosting a show on GDQ Hotfix Passion Project.
Hmm.
Um, but I met Amber back before they worked for GDQ. Uh, they ran Sonic 3D Blast in a marathon that I was hosting on my Twitch channel uh,
Hmm.
for a Celeste runner, another fellow Celeste runner named Flattervy, who we were trying to, or no, it wasn't. Wait, no, I'm sorry, that's a different marathon. This was a Revolution, who we were raising money for to get uh, to get to a GDQ to run Celeste, I believe. I believe.
That's cool.
And they ran 3D Blast in that marathon, and I really liked their run. I liked their run a lot. It got me into like actually running 3D Blast, and I followed them on Twitter, and I noticed that they were from Boston, which like I'm also from the Boston area, so I was like, hey, do you want to meet up? And thankfully they weren't like creeped out at all by me
Okay.
messaging and, and and yeah, so like that's basically like the start of everything and how we got together. And yeah,
Sonic 3D Blast has done some good in the world, it sounds like.
yes, 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 it has.
That's great. The game's fine, just different.
It's fine. Yeah,
It's different. How's it work as a
it's a
speed
really fun
run?
speed
Because
game.
the whole thing, really, because I know it's like you know, defeat the little tiny bosses to get the bird, and that's how you advance.
Yeah, it's just like it's super movement heavy and like movement optimization.
Because
Like
routing
I'm
plays a really big factor. I have to assume, given how the
yeah,
game is structured.
yeah, definitely. Like routing is like if you know where to go and which enemies have flickies. Flickies are what the birds are called.
Hmm.
Um, or which badniks have flickies. Like you, it's pretty like straightforward. Um, like it's pretty linear routing wise. Like there are a couple different levels where you can go a different way, and it's like around the same time, and it's personal preference, comfort based, like which way you want to go. But for the most part, like it's the routing is the easy part to get used to, and then the movement is another thing completely. And that takes a bit more to get used to because uh, Sonic does not like to move in the opposite direction that he's moving initially, without you like turning a certain way. And it's like it's not quite like tank controls, but it's uh it's definitely his inertia is really strange movement wise. So but yeah, it just takes a bit to get used to. But once you do, it's really satisfying.
Hmm. Yeah, I've watched a little bit of that game, at least in the speedrun sense, because
Mhm.
again, I try to watch games that I have at least some nostalgia for, which
Yeah,
isn't a lot, but that game just happens to be one of them, and God, it's
same for me actually. Yeah, I remember playing it on the Sonic Mega Collection
yeah, okay.
for GameCube. Yep, that's how I first played it. I never got past like the second level, but I liked the way the game looked.
I think I beat it when I had the PC version. I don't. This was, 15 years ago, so I don't know for sure, but I I I for the longest time I had this like little beat stuck in my head and I never put it together. It was like one of the final stages of 3D Blast Saturn OST, like whatever the last stage is called.
A Panic Puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a
if
banger.
I remembered that, I must have gotten there. So I mean, surely I beat the game.
Surely, yeah, yeah. But it's funny because both soundtracks are really good in their own right. Like Jun Senoi for Genesis and Richard Jacques for Saturn.
Mm.
Um, there are definitely some interesting tracks
Jinsunori did
in this.
Genesis because
Yep,
that was back when like actually I don't remember in the timeline. Did that come out before or after 3K?
after I think.
Okay. Never mind. Because I know what was it, Dreams Come True, whatever did 1 and 2, and then three 3K was like half of Michael Jackson, half
Yeah,
whoever else.
yeah.
Which is a whole fascinating can of worms, but
I think 3D Blast was the first soundtrack that Jun Senoi worked on for Sega.
okay. That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
really interesting. It really does sound like, Sonic Genesis, so
Yep.
and then like future music from that is completely different. So just interesting.
Yeah. I just know because I think yeah Jun Senoi worked on like the adventure games I think as well.
Hmm.
And Sonic Adventure One has a remake of the Panic Puppet version
That's
of
right.
or
Yeah.
the Genesis version of Panic Puppet
Hmm.
in Twinkle
It
Park.
has a
If I'm
couple
not mistaken.
like um the I don't know the adventure games all too well, but like the second stage, Windy something is like a 3D Blast song as well.
Hmm.
I don't remember which or what, but
I don't know the
those
games well
informed
enough
to know
to
what I'm talking about.
know.
So yeah, that's interesting. I guess I didn't put together the connection, but again, I have not played much Sonic other than 2D, so again, the backlog will never end, but it's fine,
Very true.
right? Did we kind of like cover all the notable games in your history?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And again, if we missed something important, you can just let me know. But for another topic, I want to dive more into like uh, marathon history. I know we touched on some stuff here and there, but to kind of get everything, because obviously we talked about the first one, which would have been what was it, HDQ 2017, big
Yeah.
finale. but I guess just everything that came after that.
I'm gonna have trouble with this one. Let's see, because I've run in like besides just GDQ, I've run in like more marathons than I can count.
Like all the online stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you don't have to go into every
Um,
single one. Usually, I just mean
okay,
the in-person ones, just because those are more notable. Like,
gotcha.
and
Okay,
there's
so
so many
let's
online ones.
let me see how many I can remember. Okay, so there was HGDQ 17, of course. SGDQ 17, I did LADX. I raced Bamboo Shadow. Um, in 80% no scoop.
Fantastic.
Uh,
I'm sure the crowd loved that one.
yes. Yep. AGDQ 18 was when I ran Die.
And
These
that
are
was,
easy since I just
yeah, you
talked about
just
these.
mentioned them, Devs on
Um,
Couch.
SGDQ 18 was Celeste, the race versus YP
Hmm.
with Kevin, Maddie, and Noel on the couch.
Yep.
Um, AGDQ 19, I ran Celeste all chapters,
Mm.
I think. It was either all chapters or all hearts. I think they actually were the same exact thing back then. I
Hmm.
think all hearts became all no sorry all chapters wait I don't know.
All something.
I ran Celeste at HDQ 2019, one of the non 80% categories. um SGDQ 2019, I didn't have a run in, but I did run in GDQX in 2019.
Ah, yeah.
I raced Chai Kitty in Celeste 80%, um, as the opener actually of GDQX at TwitchCon.
Mhm.
That was a ton of fun. Like TwitchCon was a lot of fun. Hung out with so many people that week. Uh, had let's see, HDQ 2020. I ran in the trilogy relay race.
Mhm.
Played Link to the Past for that, and I ran Link's Awakening 2019 at HDQ 2020.
Oh, just a
Um,
separate thing.
yeah, since then I haven't been to an in-person GDQ, but
Mm.
I did run. I think it was AGDQ 2021. I ran Oracle of Seasons All Essences.
Yeah, the online
Um,
event.
yep. The purely, I think that was the purely online event.
The
Um,
purely onlines were S 2020, A 2021, S 2021, A 2022, and A 2023.
okay, yeah, so it was definitely purely online.
Mhm.
Um, and then I think it was either SGDQ 2020. I think it was SGDQ 2020. I raced Glan in Link's Awakening 2019, glitchless. That race was incredible.
S
We
2020
finished.
was my first GDQ, so
Oh, really?
yeah, memorable for
Nice.
me.
We finished like 6 seconds apart in
Oh
an
hell
hour and
yeah,
45-minute category.
that's crazy.
Or actually, yeah, it's like an hour and 40 minutes or so. Um, but yeah, that was a sick race. Um, what else?
There was
Uh,
the
there
Four
there was
Swords.
the
Yeah.
Four Swords run with Amber at SGDQ 2022. Um, that was my last one
Wow.
so far.
That
I'm gonna be submitting a couple runs to SGDQ 2025.
are you going
So
back in person?
I plan to, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Amber and
sick.
I think are both going. Yep.
Nice. Well, because it's been
I
five
guess
and a half years, that'll be
that'll be, yeah. It has
interesting.
been that long, hasn't it? Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
unfortunately.
It'll be
The
interesting.
passage of time halts for no one.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Um, I guess I should note as well. I ran at like the PAX East GDQ booth in
Okay.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Because I'm
back when they
actually,
didn't record those, right?
yeah. No. I think they streamed it. I
Oh, did
think,
they?
or maybe they put it on YouTube or something. I don't
Hmm.
remember. I don't remember exactly what they did, but
Interesting.
Amber and I are local to PAX East. We're like we're in the Boston area, so like we okay. The Amber's across the room from me. They said that they don't know if it was recorded, but they know it wasn't broadcast.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I thought I was just at
Mhm.
PAX West 24, and I thought that was the first one they broadcasted, which I could be
That
wrong,
sounds right. Yeah.
but so I was just like, I don't know how they have done PAX events in the past because again, I thought I could never like find footage of it. So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Yeah, I think that about covers at least the GDQ history.
mhm. I
Um,
mean that's a lot for
yeah.
sure. Now you can do the grand return coming soon.
Hopefully, I mean, like, I don't know, like, I have like 2 games to submit, and one of them was run at this past
Yeah,
AGDQ.
that
That was
was
Echoes.
Echoes. Yeah,
But
that was
yeah,
a
I have
bonus
other
game too.
categories to submit too. Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a bonus game. I have
Last
other
day bonus
categories to
game.
submit as well.
Yeah.
And I'll probably submit Minish Cap too.
There's enough there.
We'll see how it goes. But either way, I think we're gonna go and we're gonna
You've
have
never
fun.
run Minish Cap at GDQ.
No,
Well,
the last run, Myth 197 ran Minish Cap. I think at one of the past few years GDQs.
okay.
I don't remember exactly which one, but
Hmm, well,
since then a lot's changed. Like or rather like the new Octoclip is a thing.
mhm.
It wasn't back then. So like it's not like it's the same exact run. So like I don't know. Maybe I have a chance there to get it in.
Yeah. I'm trying to like estimate your chances, I guess. Pretty good, sounds like. So we can look forward to that possibly.
All I can do is hope. That's
Mhm.
all.
Would you go to the event even if you didn't get in, or is it just like a go if you get in?
At this point, I think we're due to go.
Okay. Well,
It's
sick.
yeah, and yeah. At this point, I think we just really want to go, no matter what. We want to see people.
Fair enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard it sounded like the summer event's going to be pretty full, so I'm excited for it.
yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I mean, we've probably gone over most of everything, unless there's something I didn't ask that you deem important enough to talk about.
Um, I don't know. I've talked about a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's the point. Doing good on the
I
podcast.
I can't think of much at all. I can't think of anything
Okay.
really. Um, do you
Yeah.
have any questions at all? I mean, like I know that's kind of weird for me to
I,
ask. Do you have any
me, yeah. Any question?
at
Well,
this
I'll
point?
ask the
But
chat if they have any questions. They can
yeah,
just
yeah,
ask.
yeah.
But
Should I have any questions?
uh, while they maybe decide on that, I guess I can ask like kind of outside of speedrunning. Obviously, you stream majority
Mhm.
speedruns, I guess, but you have a YouTube and everything, which I'll link everything, of course. But do you do any like non just like speedrun grinds?
So well, I used to do like the Ironman challenge.
Hmm.
Like when I took my hiatus from speedrunning, that's most of
Oh yeah, I was gonna
all
ask
of what
about
I
that.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I did Ironman a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Hmm.
That was a ton of fun. Had some of my best stream moments like ever playing Ironman. Um, but yeah, that time kind of came and went. I kind of burned out on it a little bit. That's basically like the cycle of what I do is I do something a lot, I burn out on it, and then I move on to something else. Um, but yeah, uh, Ironman was still a lot of fun, a lot of good memories. And I like Pokemon, so
A good fit.
if yeah, if that weren't clear by the plushes in the background with Chien-Pao and Terapagos and the Pokeballs on the on my old CPU and stuff like that, and Wooper and Pikachu and
I've
friends
noticed a
here.
particular IP flooding the background. Don't worry.
Yeah, yep, yep,
And in the branding,
yes. Oh yeah, yep.
there he is. So is that like primarily what you did during that break?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Like and like if it wasn't Ironmon, it was something else Pokemon related as well. So like I basically spent like 2 years playing Pokemon almost exclusively. Um,
Gotcha.
and yeah, so like by that time, uh, I felt like it was ready to come back.
Fair enough.
or I was ready to come back, I should say.
Well, nothing like a good break.
Yep.
So, for the YouTube, do you upload anything that isn't just, that kind of content? Or
So for Echoes, like I uploaded a bunch of like you could call them resources. They are tutorials on like how to perform certain tricks and how to do certain things. Um, they I'd be hard pressed to call them proper tutorials, but you can learn from them for sure. Uh, Let me link that actually, if that's okay.
information that isn't useless.
It's basically clips from my stream where I'm giving a tutorial to people watching
Okay.
and then editing it down and yeah,
S-
keeping in like bloopers
Certainly
and stuff as
useful,
well.
yes.
It's like it's a mix between like informational tutorial and like me just being a goof. Why am I linking
The best
Twitch here?
combination.
Slash. Hopefully that link works.
Oh, do you have two YouTube channels?
I do,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, the other one is mainly music focused. Which like I used to. I think I did. I go over that. Did I talk about
No,
music
we
at
have not
all?
talked
No.
about it.
Okay. Well, I used to produce music a lot. Like I used to produce a lot of music. I used to do like original stuff as well. I produced like a lot of electronica. I used to again. I have. Do you mind if I link like my Bandcamp in the chat
You can
as
do
well
whatever you
for
want.
folks? Okay.
This is
Let
good for
me.
me. I'll use these for the YouTube description.
Okay.
So because usually on the stream I link for which is Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky now. So that's what I have up right now, but I can add more for the YouTube description.
So that's my music stuff. Aside from that, I remastered like the entirety of the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon 1 soundtrack once
Mm.
upon a time. And I guess you can call the Mystery Dungeon 2 games a work in progress, even though I haven't really done anything like with that lately, like extremely lately. But um, Lord knows, like I'm gonna be on my way doing that again at some point the indeterminate point in the future. Because that's just the way I operate. Apparently, is like I do one thing and then
Mm-hmm.
I like suddenly move on to something else because my brain works like that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but before speedrunning, this was kind of what you were known for, right? Was music?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Known for is probably a strong term, but it
Well,
was like what I did. It's what I did. Yeah.
I've heard people that's how they know you from music and not speedrunning. I've talked to people that way, so I mean that's what I'm basing the information off of.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, it's cool that like different people, if different people know you from different things, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and TGH like stands for something
I
from
used
back
to.
then. Oh, it's not much anymore.
It stood. If you really want to dig for it, you can. I don't care. But like,
Ah, okay.
it's it stood for a really cringy name I came up with when I was like 15.
Oh, I thought it was like
So no, it's nothing bad. It's nothing
no,
like
I meant like I thought the G was guitar and
well, yeah.
okay. No, I do know it. Okay, never mind. Why do I know it then? Whatever. I guess I
It's
won't.
not spelled like that though.
Oh, okay. I guess I won't say it, but this is like
Again,
if.
you can dig for it if you want to folks who are
But
seeing
now
this
I'm just
like
confused why I know it. If whatever. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
okay, okay.
That's what I was asking. I was like trying to confirm what I knew, but now I'm just questioning why I even knew that in the first place.
It
Anyway,
might be like some people know me by two names. I'll say that.
I think that must be what it is. Again, the
Yeah.
people I talk to that need you for music.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds right to me.
Okay. That clears
That
up my
sounds right.
confusion, I guess. But
Okay.
anyway, I'll leave it at that. Um, but yeah. Uh, I guess the last thing I'll ask is just any your future plans and streaming, speedrunning, content, whatever.
Well, I'm gonna keep speedrunning Minish Cap. Um, I intend to keep doing that. I do like randomizers every now and again too. Like Wednesdays are usually like randomizer and chill days on my stream. Usually I do like this Wednesday I'm doing Ocarina of Time rando. Uh I don't play Ocarina of Time, and frankly I I don't know, a rando takes me like 15 hours to complete, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun still. Like I am not a 3D Zelda speedrunner at all. Uh but yeah, like every now and again we do something called Jigsaw Puzzle Dreams as well, where I boot up a jigsaw puzzle and people who have the game, which is a free game, uh people who have the game can join for free and like do a puzzle with me, and that's pretty
Huh.
cool. Um
Interesting.
yeah, like every now and again we do that too. Um but yeah, like my main focus right now is Minish Cap speedrunning. So
Mhm. You have any like, more future plans and ideas?
I think it's a little too soon for that.
Fair enough.
Because Minish Cap had been my future plan for a while, and now I've just started with that, and I don't know if I have like another plan in store for a bit, but I'm still like, you know, I'll think about it basically. I don't know what I'd want to. Maybe Oracle of Seasons or something. Not sure
Fair enough.
yet.
Well, if people want to know what you'll do, I'll provide all the links where people can find you and they can figure it out.
Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, I think that's everything. So just
Thanks for having me on again.
yes.
This is a fun.
Thanks for doing this on short notice. I feel like
Yeah,
I say that a
this is
lot
fun to
to
do.
people, but I try to schedule these in advance, but it doesn't always work out that way. So I'm glad people can step up and help me out here a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I felt bad when I think you reached out to me in like late 2023, and I felt bad because at that point I wasn't speedrunning
Yeah.
like at all. Like I had already been super deep into my hiatus, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't really I haven't speedrun in months. I'd feel bad being on a show and somebody else could be on. And
Eh,
like
I
yeah, now that I'm speedrunning again though, it's
it worked
I'm
out, but like I don't care if the person I interview like is actively running, like as long as they have a history in or around the scene. I mean, that's what I like to talk about. So, I mean,
yeah, I got you. I guess my
no
mindset
reason to
was
feel
like,
bad, I guess was my what I'm getting at.
gotcha, yeah. I guess my mindset was like, somebody else is probably better suited to be on the show at that point in time.
Maybe, but there were plenty of runners. I'm not exactly hurting for content out here. We're at this, what was this, episode 105. I've been doing this for
Mm,
2 full years now.
that's really impressive.
I think we're good. So, but I'm glad we got this to work out. So,
Mm.
yeah, thanks for reaching out and coming on. And thanks everyone for watching, of course. I guess we'll end things off here, but yeah, keep following the show, still doing it. Happy year 3, the beginning. And oh, wait, I never did the shout out command. I always do that. Let me just make sure I don't forget that. Yippee, I did it. Okay. Now we're good. But yeah, all the links will be in YouTube. Watch these live every Sunday ish. At least on YouTube every Sunday. We'll upload this right after we finish, and I think that's all the promotion I can do. You can promote yourself now if you want. I know you left
God,
some links, but
I already kind of have.
okay,
I've
promote the
been like,
things you
I feel like
haven't talked about.
I feel like I've been promoting myself for the last 2 hours.
That's the
But
point.
uh, but yeah, I stream on Twitch. Um, as you know, that link, the shout out will bring you there
Mhm.
if you twitch.tv/tgh_sr. I stream, oh god, Saturdays, Sundays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Eastern. Um, and
Bright and early.
yeah, we have a fun time, and it's people tell me it's chill. So
We love to hear it. And then so you have the music YouTube, which is just TGH then, and then TGH Live is the like VOD kind of content,
yeah,
stream
it's kind of
content.
become that. Yeah, yep,
Okay. Then Bandcamp, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that. All of that will be linked. Okay.
yeah.
There we go. All right.
No, yeah, no need to link Twitter. Like, you don't
Yeah,
need.
I
You
mean,
know,
yeah.
just Blue Sky is fine.
Yeah, I just do it because maybe there's history there, but yeah, I am an official
That's
Blue
fair.
Sky only user now, so
Yeah,
I get
same,
it.
same.
Yep. But anyway, yep, thanks for watching everyone. See you next episode and have a good day. All right. Bye.